The summer sun beat down on the highway as Marcus Williams drove his old blue sedan through the quiet streets of Riverside. It was a Thursday afternoon and the roads were nearly empty. Marcus had one hand on the steering wheel while his other hand rested on his lap. He was heading to the VA hospital for his monthly checkup. The appointment was at 3 o'clock and he still had plenty of time. Marcus was 35 years old. He had dark skin, short hair, and kind eyes that had seen too much. He wore a simple gray t-shirt and jeans. His prosthetic leg was hidden beneath his pants, but he could feel the slight discomfort that came from sitting too long. He had lost his real leg 5 years ago in Afghanistan. The memory still haunted him sometimes, but he tried not to think about it. The neighborhood around him was nice. Big houses with green lawns lined both sides of the street. Children's bikes lay in driveways. Everything looked peaceful and safe. Marcus had been through this area many times before. He liked the quiet. It reminded him that he was finally home, far away from the desert and the bombs. Then he saw the flashing lights in his rearview mirror. Marcus felt his heart sink. Red and blue lights reflected off his mirror. A police car was right behind him, signaling for him to pull over. Marcus looked at his speedometer. He was not speeding. He tried to think of what he might have done wrong. Nothing came to mind. Still, he knew what to do. He had been taught well. He put on his turn signal and slowly pulled to the side of the road. His hand started to shake a little, but he took a deep breath. He had done nothing wrong. Everything would be fine. He turned off his engine and placed both hands on the steering wheel where they could be seen. This was important. He knew that much. The police officer took his time getting out of his car. Marcus watched in the side mirror as a tall white man in a dark blue uniform stepped out. The officer had sunglasses on even though the sun was starting to go down. His face looked hard and unfriendly. His name tag read Patterson. Officer Derek Patterson walked slowly to the driver's side window. His hand rested on his belt close to his gun. Marcus kept his hands on the wheel and did not move. He had learned this from other veterans. Stay calm, stay still, do everything right. License and registration, Patterson said. His voice was cold. He did not say hello. He did not explain why he stopped Marcus. Yes, sir, Marcus said politely. I need to tell you something first. I am a disabled veteran. I have a prosthetic leg. It will take me a moment to reach for my wallet because of my injury. I just want you to know before I move. Patterson stared at him through his sunglasses. His jaw tightened. Sure you do, he said. There was something mean in his voice. Just get your documents, slowly. Marcus felt a cold feeling in his stomach, but he nodded. He moved his right hand very slowly toward the glove compartment. Every movement was careful and clear. He did not want any confusion. His prosthetic leg made it hard to shift in his seat, so he had to lean awkwardly to reach the glove box. What's taking so long? Patterson asked. He stepped closer to the window. I'm getting it now, sir, Marcus said. His voice was calm, but inside he felt nervous. He pulled out the registration and then reached for his wallet in his back pocket. This was harder. He had to twist his body and his prosthetic leg did not bend the same way. It took him a few extra seconds. Are you trying to reach for something back there? Patterson's voice got louder. His hand moved closer to his gun. No, sir. Just my wallet. It's in my back pocket. Marcus moved even more slowly. Finally, he got his wallet and pulled out his driver's license. He handed both documents to the officer with a steady hand. Patterson took the documents but barely looked at them. Instead, he stared at Marcus. Do you know why I pulled you over? No, sir. I don't think I was speeding. Your taillight is broken. That's illegal. Marcus frowned. He had just checked his car 2 days ago. Everything was working fine. I don't think it's broken, officer. I just had my car checked. Are you arguing with me? Patterson's voice got sharp. No, sir. I'm just saying I don't think anything is wrong with my taillight. Step out of the vehicle. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. Sir, I have a prosthetic leg. It's difficult for me to... I said step out of the vehicle now. Marcus took another deep breath. He opened his door slowly and began to get out. This was always the hard part. His prosthetic leg did not move naturally. He had to use his arms to help push himself up. He grabbed the doorframe and pulled himself to his feet. When he stood, his limp was clear. His right leg was metal and plastic beneath his jeans. Patterson watched him with narrow eyes. You move pretty well for someone who claims to be disabled. I lost my leg in Afghanistan, sir. I served 8 years in the army. Sure you did. Patterson's voice dripped with doubt. He walked around Marcus, looking him up and down like he was inspecting a suspect. A lot of people fake injuries these days. Try to get special treatment. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. He had been in worse situations than this. He could handle one rude cop. I'm not faking anything, sir. I can show you my VA card. I have my military ID. I don't need to see any cards. What I need is for you to stop wasting my time. Patterson walked to the back of the car. Marcus heard him tap something. Your taillight looks fine to me now. Funny how that works, Marcus said nothing. He understood what was happening. This stop was never about a taillight. Turn around and put your hands on the car, Patterson ordered. Sir, I haven't done anything wrong. Are you refusing to comply? Patterson stepped closer. His face was inches from Marcus's. Because if you're refusing, this becomes a whole different situation. Marcus turned around and placed his hands on the hot metal of his car. The sun had baked the surface and it burned his palms. He felt Patterson's hands roughly pat down his sides. The officer was not gentle. When his hands reached Marcus's legs, he paused. What's this? Patterson tapped on the prosthetic leg hard. That's my prosthetic leg, sir. How do I know you're not hiding something in there? Take off your pants. Marcus turned his head. What, sir? I can't. You heard me. If you really have a fake leg, prove it. Take off your pants and show me. Shame and anger mixed together in Marcus's chest. This was too much. Sir, this is not necessary. I have identification that shows I'm not asking again. Patterson's hand went to his gun. Remove your pants so I can verify your disability or I'll arrest you for obstruction. Marcus felt tears of frustration sting his eyes, but he blinked them away. Other cars started to slow down as they passed. People stared. A few took out their phones. Marcus stood there on the side of the road, his hands on his car while a police officer demanded he undress to prove his injury was real. He thought about his brothers in arms who had died so people could be free. He thought about the 3 men he had saved before the bomb took his leg. He thought about the flag they had folded and given to him when he came home. And now he stood here being treated like a criminal for driving to a doctor's appointment. I'm waiting, Patterson said. Marcus stood by his car with his hands still pressed against the hot metal. Sweat dripped down his back. The sun felt like it was cooking him alive. His prosthetic leg ached from standing in one position for too long. He needed to sit down, but Officer Patterson would not let him move. Stay right there, Patterson said as he walked back to his patrol car. Marcus could hear him talking on his radio, but he could not make out the words. The officer's voice sounded excited, like he was enjoying himself. More cars slowed down to watch. Some people took pictures with their phones. Marcus felt his face grow hot with shame. He was a veteran. He had served his country with honor. Now he was standing on the side of the road like a common criminal while strangers watched and recorded. Patterson came back with a small notebook. He stood in front of Marcus and flipped through the pages slowly. So you say you served in the army? Yes, sir. I was a staff sergeant. Staff sergeant. Patterson laughed like it was a joke. What did you do? Push papers around an office? Marcus felt anger boil inside him, but he kept his voice level. I served in combat, sir. I was deployed to Afghanistan twice. Right, and I'm supposed to believe that? Patterson leaned against Marcus's car and crossed his arms. His Bodycam was recording everything, the small black device clipped to his chest. You know what I think? I think people like you join up because you can't do anything else, then you come back and play the victim card. People like me? Marcus repeated. His voice was quiet but firm. Yeah. People who want free handouts. People who fake injuries so they can get special treatment. Patterson's eyes were cold behind his sunglasses. I bet you didn't even see combat. I bet you sat on some base somewhere safe and then claimed you were a hero. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. He saw the desert. He saw the explosion. He saw his friends bleeding. He saw his own leg blown apart. When he opened his eyes, Patterson was smirking at him. My name is Marcus James Williams, he said clearly. Staff Sergeant, United States Army, service number 47389-216. I served with the 3rd Infantry Division. I was deployed to Kandahar province from 2018 to 2019. Patterson's smirk faded a little, but he did not look impressed. Anyone can memorize some numbers. 2 more police cars pulled up. Marcus's stomach dropped. He had not done anything wrong, but now there were 3 police cars and 4 officers. This was getting worse. 2 officers got out of their cars. One was a young man with red hair. The other was an older woman with gray streaks in her dark hair. They both looked at Marcus and then at Patterson. "What do we have here?" the young officer asked. "Suspicious individual," Patterson said loudly. He pointed at Marcus like he was dangerous. He was driving erratically. When I pulled him over, he became aggressive and non-compliant. Marcus's mouth fell open. "That's not true. I didn't—" "Sir, I need you to be quiet," Patterson snapped. He turned back to the other officers. "He claims he's a disabled veteran, but I have reason to believe he's lying. He's been uncooperative since I stopped him." The female officer looked at Marcus with concern. "Sir, are you all right?" "I'm trying to cooperate," Marcus said. His voice shook a little. "I've done everything he asked. I just want to go to my appointment." "He's been standing there for 15 minutes giving me attitude," Patterson said before Marcus could explain more. "I asked him simple questions and he got defensive." "That's not what happened," Marcus said louder. "I told him I was a veteran. I told him about my prosthetic leg. He said I was faking it. He made me get out of the car even though I explained it was hard for me to move." Patterson laughed. "Listen to him play the victim. This is exactly what I'm talking about." The young officer walked over to Marcus's car and looked inside. What was the reason for the stop? "Broken taillight," Patterson said. The young officer walked to the back of the car. He bent down and looked at the lights. "The taillight looks fine to me." "It was flickering before," Patterson said quickly. "Must have fixed itself." Marcus felt a small hope. Maybe these other officers would see the truth. Maybe they would let him go. But Patterson was not done. "I need to search his vehicle. He's been acting suspicious." "Wait," Marcus said. "You can't search my car without a reason." "I have reasonable suspicion," Patterson said. He was already walking to the passenger side door. "You were nervous. You were reaching around in your car. That gives me the right to search." "I was reaching for my wallet like you told me to." Marcus's voice rose. He could not believe this was happening. Patterson opened the passenger door and started pulling things out. Marcus's gym bag, his appointment papers, a bottle of water. Everything was thrown onto the ground like it was garbage. Patterson opened the gym bag and dumped out the clothes inside. He tossed the water bottle into the street. "Please be careful with my things," Marcus said. "I need those papers for my appointment." "You'll get them back when I'm done," Patterson said. He was in the back seat now, pulling out the floor mats. He opened the glove compartment and scattered the contents everywhere. Insurance papers flew in the wind. Some of them landed in a puddle of dirty water on the curb. The female officer shifted uncomfortably. "Derek, maybe we should—" "I'm conducting a search," Patterson interrupted. "You can either help or get out of my way." She did not help, but she did not stop him either. More people had gathered now. At least 10 people stood on the sidewalk watching. Most of them had their phones out, recording everything. Marcus saw an elderly couple, a woman with a baby stroller, and a teenage boy on a bicycle. They all watched him like he was part of a show. Patterson finished with the car and slammed the door. He had not found anything because there was nothing to find. Marcus's car was clean. He did not even have a parking ticket. "Turn around," Patterson ordered. "Put your hands behind your back." "What? Why?" Marcus's heart pounded in his chest. "You're being detained for further questioning." "But I haven't done anything. You're being uncooperative and you're creating a disturbance." Patterson grabbed Marcus's arm and twisted it behind his back. The movement made Marcus stumble. His prosthetic leg could not adjust fast enough and he almost fell. Pain shot through his shoulder. Patterson was not being gentle. He pushed Marcus against the car, face first, into the hot metal. Marcus felt his cheek burn against the surface. "Please," Marcus said. His voice came out weak. "You're hurting me." "Stop resisting," Patterson said loudly for everyone to hear. "I'm not resisting." Marcus tried not to cry. He had been through so much. He had survived war. He had survived losing his leg. But this moment, being pressed against his car while people watched, felt like more than he could bear. The young officer stepped forward. "Hey, maybe that's enough. We can just give him a warning and—" "I'll decide when it's enough," Patterson snapped. He kept Marcus pinned to the car. This man was driving dangerously. He was uncooperative. He showed signs of being under the influence. "I'm not under the influence of anything," Marcus shouted. "I take medication for pain, but I haven't taken any today. You can test me right now." "Drug users always say that," Patterson said to the crowd. Some people nodded. Some people looked angry. But nobody helped Marcus. Marcus felt something break inside him, not physically, but emotionally. He had believed in the system. He had believed in justice. He had fought for this country and believed it would protect him in return. But standing there with his face pressed against hot metal and his arms twisted behind him, he realized how wrong he had been. He was just another black man being humiliated by a cop who did not see him as a person. His service meant nothing. His sacrifice meant nothing. His pain meant nothing. Patterson finally let him go but kept him standing there. Marcus's whole body hurt. His back ached. His prosthetic leg throbbed. His shoulder felt like it might be bruised. But worse than all of that was the shame. The complete and total shame of being treated like trash in front of so many people. "Can I please sit down?" Marcus asked quietly. "My leg is hurting." "You can sit when I say you can sit," Patterson replied. In the crowd, a tall man with gray hair watched everything with a dark expression on his face. He wore a plain black shirt and jeans. His face was stern and serious. He did not take out his phone like the others. He just watched and listened, his jaw tight and his eyes sharp. The man took a step forward. The tall man with gray hair moved through the crowd with quiet confidence. He was older, maybe in his early 50s, with a straight back and steady walk. Everything about him seemed controlled and purposeful. While everyone else whispered and pointed at Marcus, this man walked directly toward the police officers. Officer Patterson was still standing over Marcus, who remained pressed against his car. The other two officers stood nearby, looking uncomfortable, but not doing anything to stop what was happening. The crowd had grown larger. More than 20 people now watched from the sidewalk and nearby yards. "Excuse me, officers," the man said. His voice was calm but carried authority. "I'd like to know what's going on here." Patterson turned and gave him an annoyed look. "This is police business. You need to step back, sir." "I've been watching this situation develop for the past 20 minutes, the man said. He did not step back. "I saw the entire encounter from the beginning. I have some concerns about how this is being handled." "Well, you can take your concerns and—" Patterson started. "I'm Colonel James Hartley, United States Army," the man interrupted. His voice did not get louder, but something in his tone made Patterson stop talking. "And I'm not just a concerned citizen. I'm a witness to this entire incident." Marcus lifted his head slightly. "A colonel?" His heart beat faster with a small spark of hope. Patterson's face changed. He tried to recover his confident attitude, but doubt flickered in his eyes. "That's nice, but this is still a police matter. Unless you're a police officer, you need to move along." "I'm not moving along," Colonel Hartley said firmly. He looked past Patterson to Marcus. "Son, what's your name?" Marcus swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. "Marcus Williams, sir." "Have you served, Marcus?" "Yes, sir. Staff Sergeant, United States Army, 3rd Infantry Division." Colonel Hartley's eyes narrowed with interest. "3rd Infantry? When did you serve?" 2011 to 2019, sir. 2 deployments to Afghanistan." "What happened to your leg?" Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. Finally, someone was asking him with respect. "IED explosion in Kandahar province, sir." 2019, I lost 3 friends that day. I would have been the 4th, but I managed to pull 2 other men away from the blast zone before I was hit. The colonel's face softened. He turned back to Patterson. "This man is a decorated veteran who lost his leg saving his fellow soldiers. Why is he being treated like a criminal?" "He was driving erratically," Patterson said, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. "I pulled him over for a broken taillight." "I checked the taillight myself," the young officer spoke up. "It's not broken." Patterson shot him an angry look. "It was flickering." "I've been watching from that corner for 25 minutes, Colonel Hartley said, pointing to the street corner. "I saw you pull this man over. I saw no erratic driving. I saw no broken taillight. What I did see was you forcing a disabled veteran to stand in the heat for an extended period. I saw you search his vehicle without clear probable cause. I saw you physically restrain him when he was being completely cooperative. He was being aggressive, Patterson insisted. He was not. The colonel's voice was steel now. I heard every word. He was polite. He informed you of his disability. He moved slowly and carefully. He answered all your questions. You were the one being aggressive. The female officer stepped forward. Colonel, maybe we should— What's your name, officer? Hartley asked her. Officer Sarah Chen, sir. Officer Chen, did you see this man being aggressive or uncooperative? She hesitated. Her eyes moved between Patterson and the colonel. Finally, she shook her head. No, sir. He seemed calm to me. Patterson's face turned red. Sarah, what are you— I'm telling the truth, she said quietly. She looked at Marcus with guilt in her eyes. He didn't do anything wrong that I could see. Colonel Hartley pulled out his phone. I'm going to need all of you to stay here. I'm making some calls. You can't tell us what to do, Patterson said. You're not our supervisor. No, but I know your supervisor. Hartley was already dialing. I've worked with the Riverside Police Department on several community projects. Chief Morrison and I have had dinner together. I'm sure he'll be very interested to hear about this. Patterson's confident expression crumbled. Now wait a minute. There's no need to involve the chief. This is just a routine traffic stop. A routine traffic stop that has lasted almost 30 minutes and involved 3 police cars. Hartley's eyebrow raised. A routine stop where you mocked a disabled veteran and searched his car without cause? The phone rang twice before someone answered. Chief Morrison, this is Colonel James Hartley. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm witnessing a situation that needs your immediate attention. Marcus could hear the muffled voice on the other end of the phone. The colonel described the scene calmly and clearly. He gave the exact location. He mentioned Officer Patterson by name. He explained what he had witnessed. Yes, sir. I'll wait here, Hartley said. He ended the call and looked at Patterson. The chief is sending Captain Rodriguez. He should be here in about 5 minutes. Patterson's face had gone pale. Look, maybe I came on a bit strong. But this guy is a war hero, Hartley interrupted. And you treated him like dirt. The young officer with red hair cleared his throat. Should we let Mr. Williams sit down? He's been standing for a long time. Yes, Hartley said firmly. He walked over to Marcus. Son, you can sit in your car now. You've been through enough. Marcus's legs were shaking as he moved to his car door. His prosthetic leg had locked up from standing so long. He nearly fell, but Colonel Hartley caught his arm and helped him into the driver's seat. The relief of sitting down almost made Marcus cry. Thank you, sir, Marcus whispered. Don't thank me yet, Hartley said. We're going to make this right. Patterson paced back and forth, his hands on his hips. He looked angry and worried at the same time. The other officers stood away from him, as if they did not want to be associated with what had happened. The crowd on the sidewalk had grown even larger. Everyone was watching and waiting to see what would happen next. Some people cheered when Colonel Hartley helped Marcus sit down. Others recorded everything on their phones. An elderly black woman in the crowd called out, "Thank you, sir. Thank you for helping him." A young man shouted, "That cop should be arrested." Patterson spun around. "All of you need to leave. This is a crime scene." "This is not a crime scene," Hartley said coldly. "This is a civil rights violation." Marcus sat in his car with the door open, his hands shaking in his lap. He could not believe what was happening. One moment he was being humiliated and abused. The next moment a colonel was defending him and calling the police chief. It felt like a dream. Hartley walked back to Marcus. "Son, I need to know about your service. What unit were you with specifically?" 2nd Battalion, 64th Armor Regiment, sir. We were stationed at Forward Operating Base Lightning. Hartley's eyes widened. Lightning? I know that base. I visited there in 2018 during a joint operations assessment. There was an incident there. A major attack that your unit defended against? Yes, sir. We lost 12 men that night. I read the reports. Your unit showed extraordinary courage. Hartley paused. What was the date you were injured? March 14th, 2019, sir. Hartley pulled out his phone again and typed something. His face grew more serious as he read. After a moment, he looked at Marcus with deep respect. You received the Bronze Star with Valor. You pulled two men from a burning vehicle while under enemy fire. Marcus nodded. He did not like talking about it. And this officer, Hartley said, his voice rising as he turned to Patterson, made you stand in the heat and humiliated you, accused you of faking your disability, mocked your service. Patterson opened his mouth but nothing came out. The sound of sirens filled the air. A police car pulled up quickly and a man in a uniform with more stripes and medals than the other officers got out. He was Hispanic with a stern face and gray at his temples. His name tag read Rodriguez. Colonel Hartley, Captain Rodriguez said as he approached. He shook the colonel's hand. The chief briefed me on the phone. What happened here? Colonel Hartley explained everything in detail. He spoke clearly and calmly, describing exactly what he had witnessed. He did not exaggerate or add emotion. He just told the truth. Captain Rodriguez's face grew darker as he listened. When Hartley finished, the captain turned to Patterson. Is this true? Sir, I can explain. Is it true? Rodriguez's voice was sharp. Patterson looked at the ground. The situation was more complicated than, Officer Patterson, you're done here. Go back to the station immediately. We'll discuss this in my office, and Captain, please. Now, Patterson. Patterson's face was red with anger and shame. He walked to his patrol car without looking at anyone. As he drove away, several people in the crowd clapped. Captain Rodriguez walked over to Marcus. Mr. Williams, I apologize for what happened here today. This is not how we train our officers. This is not acceptable behavior. Marcus did not know what to say. He just nodded. I'd like to get your full statement, Rodriguez continued. And I need to secure all body cam footage from the officers present. Colonel Hartley, would you be willing to provide a written statement as well? Absolutely, Hartley said. And I want copies of everything. This needs to be documented properly. Rodriguez nodded. You'll get them. Marcus felt the weight on his chest begin to lift. Maybe, just maybe, justice would be done. Captain Rodriguez took control of the scene immediately. He spoke into his radio requesting 2 more officers to come and take statements from witnesses. Then he turned to Officers Chen and the young red-headed officer whose name was Miller. I want both of your body cam footage downloaded immediately, Rodriguez said. Nobody touches those cameras until the files are secured. Understood? Yes, sir, they both said. Marcus sat in his car watching everything happen. His whole body felt tired and sore. His prosthetic leg ached badly. He needed to take his pain medication, but he was afraid to move. He did not want to do anything that might make the situation worse. Colonel Hartley noticed him shifting uncomfortably. Are you in pain, son? Yes, sir. My leg hurts pretty bad. I need to take my medication, but I don't want to. Take your medication, Hartley said firmly. He turned to Captain Rodriguez. This man needs his pain medication. He's been standing for over 30 minutes in the heat with a prosthetic leg. Rodriguez looked concerned. Of course, Mr. Williams, do you need medical attention? No, sir, I just need my pills. They're in my bag. Marcus pointed to his gym bag, which was still lying on the ground where Patterson had thrown it. Officer Chen picked up the bag and brought it to Marcus. I'm sorry about all this, she said quietly. I should have said something earlier. Marcus did not know what to say to her. She had stood by and watched him suffer. But at least she was helping now. He took the bag and found his pill bottle. His hand shook as he opened it and took one pill with some water. Hartley knelt down beside the car door. Marcus, I know you're tired, but I need you to tell Captain Rodriguez everything that happened, every detail. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Good. I'll be right here with you. Rodriguez pulled out a notebook. Mr. Williams, let's start from the beginning. What time did Officer Patterson pull you over? Marcus took a deep breath and began to tell his story. He explained how he was driving to the VA hospital, how he saw the police lights, how he pulled over carefully and put his hands on the wheel. He described how he told Patterson about his prosthetic leg before reaching for his wallet. Did Officer Patterson acknowledge your disability? Rodriguez asked. He said, sure you do, like he didn't believe me. Rodriguez wrote quickly in his notebook. What happened next? Marcus continued. He told about how Patterson made him get out of the car, how the officer mocked his limp and said he was faking. how Patterson demanded he prove his disability by removing his pants. His voice shook when he described this part. Colonel Hartley's jaw tightened. He asked you to remove your pants on the side of the road? Yes, sir. He said he needed to verify my disability was real. Rodriguez stopped writing. Did you remove your pants? No, sir, I refused. That's when he called for backup and said I was being uncooperative. What did Officer Patterson say to you while you were standing there? Rodriguez asked. Marcus hesitated. This was the hardest part. He said people like me probably didn't really serve. He said I probably had a desk job and was playing the victim. He said I was trying to get special treatment. People like you, Rodriguez repeated slowly. Did he specify what he meant by that? Marcus looked down at his hands. He didn't say it directly, sir, but I understood what he meant. I've heard it before. Colonel Hartley stood up. Captain, this officer engaged in racial profiling. He pulled over a black man without cause. He made racist remarks. He mocked a disabled veteran. This is not just a bad traffic stop. This is a pattern of discrimination. I agree, Rodriguez said. He looked angry. Mr. Williams, did Officer Patterson ever explain the real reason he pulled you over? He said my taillight was broken, but Officer Miller checked it and said it was fine. Rodriguez walked to the back of Marcus's car and examined the taillights himself. Both were working perfectly. He took several photos with his phone. Then he walked around the entire car, documenting everything. Your car is in perfect condition, Rodriguez said. There was no legal reason for this stop. 2 more officers arrived. Rodriguez assigned them to interview the witnesses who were still gathered on the sidewalk. One by one, people gave their statements. Many of them had recorded the incident on their phones. They offered to send the videos to the police department. An older white man with a gray beard stepped forward. I recorded the whole thing. That officer was way out of line. He was aggressive from the start. The veteran didn't do anything wrong. A young black woman spoke next. I heard the officer make comments about him faking his disability. It was disgusting. That man served our country and this is how he's treated. The elderly black woman who had called out earlier was crying. I have 2 sons. I'm scared for them every day. This is why. Because even when they do everything right, it doesn't matter. Colonel Hartley asked all the witnesses to send their videos to him as well as to the police department. He gave them his email address and phone number. He wanted to make sure there were multiple copies of everything. Rodriguez came back to Marcus. Mr. Williams, I need to ask you some difficult questions. Has anything like this happened to you before? Not like this, sir. I've been pulled over a few times. Some officers were fine, some were rude, but nothing this bad. Have you ever filed a complaint? No, sir. I didn't think it would matter. Rodriguez's face was grim. I want you to know that this will matter. What happened here today is completely unacceptable. Officer Patterson will face serious consequences. What kind of consequences? Hartley asked. That will be determined by our Internal Affairs Division and possibly by the District Attorney's Office, Rodriguez said. But I can tell you that this behavior violates multiple department policies and possibly criminal laws. Marcus felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of him was relieved that someone was taking this seriously. Part of him was angry that it had happened at all. Part of him was sad that it took a white colonel to make the police care about what happened to him. Captain, Hartley said, I want to review Officer Patterson's record. I suspect this is not his first incident. Rodriguez hesitated. That information is not public. I understand, but I'm making a formal request. As a witness and as someone who works closely with community police relations, I need to know if there's a pattern here. I'll see what I can do, Rodriguez said carefully. Officer Chen approached them. Captain, I need to say something. She looked nervous, but determined. Officer Patterson has had complaints before. I've heard about them. Some of the other officers talk about it. He has a reputation for being aggressive with certain people. Certain people, Hartley repeated. You mean people of color? Chen nodded. I've never seen him treat a white person the way he treated Mr. Williams today. Rodriguez's expression grew even more serious. Officer Chen, I need you to write all of this down in your statement. Everything you've heard. Every complaint you know about. Yes, sir. Marcus watched this all unfold with a sense of unreality. Just an hour ago, he was being humiliated and abused. Now multiple officers were taking his side. A captain was investigating. Witnesses were giving statements. It felt like the world had turned upside down. But he knew why it had changed. It was because of Colonel Hartley. If the colonel had not been there, Marcus would probably be in jail right now, or worse. The thought made him sick. Sir, Marcus said to Hartley, why did you help me? Hartley looked surprised by the question. Why wouldn't I? You don't know me. You could have walked away. The colonel's face became serious. I spent 30 years in the army. I served with men and women of every color and background. Some of the bravest soldiers I've ever known were black men like you. When I saw that officer treating you that way, I saw him disrespecting everything I believe in. Thank you, sir. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been here. We're not done yet, Hartley said. We're going to make sure this is handled properly. I'm going to stay with you through this entire process. Rodriguez finished taking photos and notes. Mr. Williams, you're free to go, but I'll need you to come to the station tomorrow to give a formal statement. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Will you need a ride? Your car is drivable, but if you're not feeling up to it, I can drive, sir. But I missed my VA appointment. I'll call them and explain what happened, Hartley offered. They'll reschedule you. Rodriguez handed Marcus a card. This has my direct number. If you have any problems, any concerns, anything at all, you call me immediately. Marcus took the card. His hands were still shaking. One more thing, Hartley said to Rodriguez. I want to make a formal request for all of Officer Patterson's body cam footage from today. Not just the part where I arrived. I want to see everything from the moment he pulled Marcus over. You'll have it, Rodriguez promised. The captain went to speak with the other officers. Hartley helped Marcus stand up. His leg had stiffened from sitting, and it took a moment for him to get his balance. Are you okay to drive home? Hartley asked. I think so, sir. Give me your phone number. I'm going to check on you later. They exchanged numbers. Then Hartley helped Marcus pick up all his belongings that Patterson had thrown on the ground. The appointment papers were dirty and torn. His clothes were scattered in the street. It took several minutes to gather everything. As Marcus prepared to drive away, he turned to Hartley. Sir, I just want to say again, thank you. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did, Hartley said firmly. And this isn't over. We're going to make sure everyone knows what happened here today. Marcus barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Officer Patterson's face. He heard the mocking voice. He felt the shame of being pressed against his car while people watched. His body ached everywhere. His prosthetic leg hurt so badly that he had to take it off and let his stump rest. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling of his small apartment. The place was quiet. Too quiet. He lived alone and most nights he liked it that way. But tonight he wished he had someone to talk to. Someone who could tell him everything would be okay. His phone buzzed. It was a text from Colonel Hartley. How are you feeling? Did you make it home safely? Marcus typed back with shaking hands. Yes, sir. I'm home. Thank you again for everything. Get some rest. I'll call you tomorrow morning. We have work to do. Marcus did not know what that meant, but he trusted the colonel. He finally fell asleep around 3 in the morning. The next day, Marcus woke up to dozens of messages and missed calls. His phone was blowing up. Confused, he opened his social media apps and his mouth fell open. The videos were everywhere. Someone had posted the footage of his encounter with Officer Patterson online. The video had been shared thousands of times overnight, then tens of thousands. By the time Marcus checked, it had over 1 million views. People were angry. Really angry. The comments flooded in by the hundreds every minute. People called Officer Patterson terrible names. They demanded he be fired. They shared the video again and again, adding hashtags like #Justice for Marcus and #Ringer Veterans Matter and #Ringer Police Abuse. News websites had picked up the story. Local news channels were reporting on it. Marcus saw his own face on the screen when he turned on the TV. The headline read, Disabled Veteran Humiliated by Police Officer in Traffic Stop. His phone rang. It was Colonel Hartley. Marcus, have you seen the news?
Yes, sir.
I can't believe this is happening. The video has gone viral. This is good for us. It means people are paying attention. But it also means you're going to get a lot of calls from reporters. Don't talk to anyone until we get you a lawyer. A lawyer? Sir, I can't afford. You won't have to pay. I've already contacted a civil rights attorney I know. Her name is Patricia Hughes. She's very good and she wants to help you. She'll call you within the hour. Marcus felt overwhelmed. Everything was moving so fast. Sir, I don't know if I want to make a big deal out of this. Maybe I should just let it go. Let it go? Hartley's voice was firm but kind. Marcus, what happened to you was wrong. Not just wrong, but illegal. If you let it go, Officer Patterson will do this to someone else. Maybe someone who doesn't have a colonel watching. Maybe someone who ends up in jail. Or worse. Marcus knew he was right. He had watched the news enough to know that not everyone survived encounters with police. He had been lucky. Lucky that Hartley was there. Lucky that he kept his calm. Lucky that Patterson did not shoot him. Okay, sir. I'll talk to the lawyer. True to Hartley's word, Patricia Hughes called exactly 45 minutes later. She was a black woman with a strong voice and a no-nonsense attitude. Mr. Williams, I've watched the video. I've read the initial reports. What happened to you is a clear violation of your civil rights. I want to represent you pro bono. That means free. Why would you do that for free? Because I'm tired of seeing this happen. I'm tired of watching black men and women get abused by people who are supposed to protect them. And I'm especially angry when it happens to veterans. You served this country. You deserve better. Patricia explained what would happen next. She would file a formal complaint with the police department. She would also file a civil lawsuit against Officer Patterson and the Riverside Police Department. She would request all the body cam footage and all witness statements. This is going to be a long process, she warned. It could take months or even years. Are you prepared for that? Marcus thought about it. He thought about all the times he had been pulled over and felt scared. He thought about other black veterans who might go through the same thing. He thought about his friends who died in Afghanistan, who died believing in freedom and justice. Yes, ma'am. I'm ready. Within 2 days, the local news station did a full report on the incident. They interviewed witnesses who had been there. They showed the videos that people had recorded on their phones. They also dug deeper into Officer Patterson's background. What they found was disturbing. Officer Patterson had been with the Riverside Police Department for 7 years. In that time, he had received 12 complaints, 12. Most of them came from black and Hispanic citizens who said Patterson was aggressive, disrespectful, and used excessive force. But all 12 complaints had been dismissed. The department said there was not enough evidence. They said the complainants were not credible. They said Patterson was just doing his job. One of the people who had complained was a black woman named Tamara Johnson. She agreed to be interviewed on the news. He pulled me over 2 years ago, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. He said my license plate light was out. It wasn't. He searched my car. He made me stand outside for an hour while he went through everything. He talked to me like I was dirt. I tried to file a complaint, but nothing happened. Nobody believed me. Another man, Carlos Martinez, had a similar story. Patterson had stopped him for suspicious behavior. Carlos was just walking home from work at night. Patterson searched him roughly, made racist comments, and threatened to arrest him for no reason. I filed a complaint, Carlos said. I went through all the proper channels, but they told me it was my word against his. They said there was no proof, so he got away with it. Now with the video evidence, people could see that these complaints were real. Patterson had a pattern of behavior. He targeted people of color. He abused his power, and the department had protected him. The story exploded even further. National news picked it up. Civil rights organizations got involved. The NAACP released a statement demanding Patterson be fired and charged with civil rights violations. Veterans groups expressed outrage that a decorated war hero had been treated so badly. Colonel Hartley was interviewed on several news programs. He told Marcus's story clearly and powerfully. He described watching the entire incident. He talked about Marcus's service and his sacrifice. This young man gave his leg for his country, Hartley said on one interview. He saved the lives of his brothers in arms. And an officer who has never served a day in his life treated him like a criminal. That's not just wrong, that's a betrayal of everything our military fights for. The Riverside Police Department released a statement saying they took the incident seriously and were conducting a thorough investigation. They said Officer Patterson had been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome, but people were not satisfied with that. Protests began outside the police station. Dozens of people showed up with signs demanding justice. The protests were peaceful but loud. People chanted Marcus's name. They demanded Patterson be fired and arrested. Marcus did not go to the protests. He stayed home trying to process everything. The attention was overwhelming. Reporters camped outside his apartment building. His phone never stopped ringing. He had to make his social media accounts private because strangers were sending him thousands of messages. Colonel Hartley called him every day to check on him. "How are you holding up?" "I don't know, sir. This is all so much, I know it is. But you're not alone. I'm here. Patricia is here. Thousands of people support you. I never wanted to be famous. You're not famous. You're a symbol. You represent everyone who has been treated unfairly by people in power. That's important." The investigation moved quickly because of the public pressure. The police department's Internal Affairs Division reviewed all the evidence. They interviewed all the witnesses. They watched all the body cam footage. What they saw on Patterson's body cam was even worse than what the witnesses had recorded. The footage showed Patterson laughing with his partner before he pulled Marcus over. He made a comment about probably finding drugs before he even spoke to Marcus. He mocked Marcus's disability while standing by his own patrol car. He deliberately tried to provoke Marcus into reacting. Officer Chen came forward with more information. She filed a formal complaint about the department's handling of previous complaints against Patterson. She revealed that she and other officers had been told to support each other and not to criticize fellow officers, even when they did wrong things. "I was told it would hurt my career if I spoke out," she said in her statement. "I was told that good officers protect each other, but I can't stay quiet anymore. What I saw that day was not good police work. It was abuse." Her statement encouraged other officers to speak up. 3 more officers came forward with stories about Patterson's behavior. They described him as aggressive, racist, and dangerous. They said they had tried to report him before, but their complaints were ignored. The case against Patterson grew stronger every day. The police department had no choice but to take action. 2 weeks after the incident, Officer Derek Patterson was fired from the Riverside Police Department. The department released a statement saying his actions violated multiple policies and brought disgrace to the ADG, but Patricia Hughes said that was not enough. "He needs to face criminal charges," she told the media. "Firing him is the bare minimum. He violated Mr. Williams's civil rights. He committed assault. He needs to be prosecuted like any other criminal." The district attorney's office announced they were reviewing the case for possible criminal charges. They said they took violations of civil rights very seriously. Meanwhile, Patricia filed a civil lawsuit on Marcus's behalf. The lawsuit named Officer Patterson and the Riverside Police Department. It demanded compensation for Marcus's pain and suffering. It also demanded the department make changes to prevent this from happening again. Marcus did his first television interview 3 weeks after the incident. Colonel Hartley sat beside him for support. The interviewer was gentle and respectful. "How are you doing, Marcus?" "I'm managing. It's been hard, but I have good people supporting me. What do you want people to know about what happened to you?" Marcus thought carefully before answering. "I want people to know that this happens all the time. I'm not special. I just happen to have someone like Colonel Hartley there to help me. But there are so many other people who go through this alone. They don't have anyone to defend them. They don't have videos, and they don't get justice. What changes would you like to see? I want police officers to be held accountable when they do wrong. I want better training. I want officers who abuse their power to actually face consequences. And I want people to believe victims when they say they've been mistreated." The interview was watched by millions of people. Marcus's words resonated with people across the country. He received thousands of messages of support, but he also received hate messages. People called him a liar. They said he was exaggerating. They defended Officer Patterson and said he was just doing his job. Some of the messages were racist and threatening. Colonel Hartley helped him through the worst of it. "Don't read those messages. Don't respond to them. Focus on the people who support you and the change we're trying to make." As the weeks passed, Marcus and Colonel Hartley formed a strong bond. They met for coffee regularly. Hartley helped Marcus navigate the legal process. He also helped him deal with the emotional trauma of what happened. "I can't stop thinking about it," Marcus admitted one day. "Every time I see a police car, I panic. Every time I drive, I'm terrified I'll get pulled over again." "That's normal," Hartley said. "What you experienced was traumatic. Have you thought about talking to a therapist?" Marcus hesitated. In the military, asking for mental health help was sometimes seen as weakness. But he was not in the military anymore, and he needed help. Hartley helped him find a therapist who specialized in trauma and PTSD. The sessions helped Marcus begin to process what happened and start to heal. 6 months after the incident, the district attorney's office announced their decision. Officer Derek Patterson would face criminal charges. He was charged with assault, deprivation of civil rights under color of law, and misconduct in office. Each charge carried serious penalties, including possible jail time. The announcement came during a press conference. Marcus stood next to Patricia Hughes and Colonel Hartley while the district attorney explained the charges. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. Marcus felt strange being the center of so much attention, but he also felt something else. He felt hope. "Justice is slow, but it comes," Patricia told the crowd. Mr. Williams waited patiently while the system worked. "Today we see that his patience was rewarded. Officer Patterson will face a jury, just like any other criminal." Patterson's trial began 3 months later. Marcus had to testify about what happened that day. Sitting in the witness stand was one of the hardest things he had ever done. He had to relive every moment of the humiliation, while Patterson sat at the defense table glaring at him. Patterson's lawyer tried to make Marcus look bad. He asked questions about Marcus's military record, looking for any mistakes or problems. He asked about Marcus's pain medication, trying to suggest he was impaired while driving. He even questioned whether Marcus's disability was as severe as he claimed. But Patricia was ready for all of it. She presented the Bodycam footage in full. She brought in the witnesses who had seen everything. She called Officer Chen to testify about Patterson's pattern of behavior. She showed records of all the dismissed complaints against Patterson. Colonel Hartley also testified. His testimony was powerful and clear. He described exactly what he saw. He explained his military background and why he recognized the signs of a decorated soldier in Marcus. He spoke about the importance of treating veterans with respect and dignity. "I've commanded thousands of soldiers in my career," Hartley told the jury. "I know what real service looks like. Marcus Williams is a hero who saved lives while losing his own leg. Officer Patterson treated him worse than we would treat enemy prisoners. That's not just wrong, it's criminal." The trial lasted 2 weeks. In the end, the jury found Patterson guilty on all charges. When the verdict was read, Marcus felt tears run down his face. It was not just for himself. It was for Tamara Johnson and Carlos Martinez and all the other people Patterson had abused. It was for everyone who had been treated unfairly and never got justice. Patterson was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 5 years of probation. He would never be allowed to work in law enforcement again. As they led him away in handcuffs, he still looked angry. He had never apologized. He had never admitted he was wrong. But Marcus had won. The civil lawsuit took longer to resolve. The Riverside Police Department did not want to go to trial. They knew the evidence against them was strong. They knew a jury would see how they had ignored complaints about Patterson for years. After months of negotiation, they agreed to a settlement. Marcus received $1 million in compensation. But money was not the most important part of the settlement. The police department also agreed to major changes. They would implement new training programs about racial bias and how to interact with disabled people. They would create an independent review board to investigate complaints against officers. They would install body cameras on all officers and make the footage available to the public when requested. They would fire any officer who engaged in racist behavior or excessive force. "These changes will help make sure this never happens to anyone else," Patricia announced at another press conference. "This is about more than money. This is about creating real change in how police treat people." Marcus stood next to her, feeling proud of what they had accomplished. But he also felt a responsibility. He had a platform now. People listened to him. He could not waste that opportunity. With Colonel Hartley's help, Marcus created a foundation called Brothers in Service. The foundation's mission was to help disabled veterans who faced discrimination or abuse. It provided free legal help, connected veterans with therapists, and advocated for policy changes to protect veterans' rights. Marcus used part of his settlement money to fund the foundation. Donations poured in from across the country. Within a year, the foundation had helped more than 200 veterans with various problems. Some had been discriminated against by employers. Some had been denied benefits they deserved. Some had faced abuse from police, just like Marcus. Colonel Hartley retired from active military service and became the foundation's chairman. He dedicated himself full-time to the cause. His contacts in government and military circles helped the foundation gain credibility and support. "I've spent 30 years serving my country," Hartley said at the foundation's first anniversary celebration. "But I think this work might be the most important thing I've ever done. These veterans sacrificed everything for us. The least we can do is stand up for them when they need help." Marcus and Hartley became close friends. They were an unlikely pair, a young black disabled veteran and an older white colonel. But their friendship was real and deep. They understood each other. They shared a commitment to justice and a belief that change was possible. Together, they began traveling around the country. They spoke at police academies, teaching officers how to recognize and confront their own biases. They visited military bases, talking to soldiers about their rights and what to do if they faced discrimination. They attended community events, building bridges between police departments and the communities they served. The Bodycam footage of Marcus's encounter with Patterson became a training tool. Police departments across the nation used it to show officers what not to do. Marcus had to watch the video dozens of times as they presented it at different locations. It never got easier, but he knew it was important. Every time someone watches this video and learns from it, that's another person who might not have to go through what I went through, Marcus explained to a group of police recruits. "That's why I'm willing to relive this painful memory over and over." At one police academy in Texas, a young white officer approached Marcus after his presentation. The officer had tears in his eyes. "I want to thank you," the officer said. "I grew up in a family that taught me some wrong things about people who don't look like me. I became a cop with those beliefs still in my head. But watching your video and hearing your story, it opened my eyes. I see now how my biases could hurt innocent people. You've changed how I think about my job." Moments like that made everything worthwhile. 2 years after the incident, Marcus was invited to speak at a national veterans conference in Washington, D.C. Thousands of veterans attended. Marcus spoke about his experience and about the foundation's work. He received a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. After his speech, a 4-star general approached him. "Son, what happened to you was a disgrace. But what you've done since then is remarkable. You've turned your pain into purpose. That's the mark of a true soldier." Marcus felt pride swell in his chest. For so long after losing his leg, he had felt like less than a whole person. He had struggled to find meaning and purpose in civilian life. The incident with Patterson had been devastating, but somehow it had also shown him his path forward. He was not just a disabled veteran anymore. He was an advocate, a voice for people who could not speak for themselves, a fighter for justice and change. The foundation continued to grow. Within 3 years, it had offices in 10 states. It employed 15 people full-time, including lawyers, social workers, and veteran advocates. It had helped more than 1,000 veterans. Marcus also started a mentorship program. He connected recently disabled veterans with others who had been through similar experiences. He knew how hard it was to adjust to life with a prosthetic leg. He knew the depression and anger and loss that came with it. Having someone who understood made all the difference. One of the veterans Marcus mentored was a young man named Kevin, who had lost both legs in Iraq. Kevin was angry at the world and did not want to leave his house. Marcus visited him every week for months. "I know what you're feeling," Marcus told him during one visit. "I felt the same way. I thought my life was over, but it wasn't. It was just different, and different can still be good." Kevin did not believe him at first, but slowly, with Marcus's help, he began to heal. He started using his prosthetic legs. He went back to school. He even started dating. A year later, Kevin joined the foundation as a peer counselor, helping other veterans the way Marcus had helped him. "You saved my life," Kevin told Marcus. "I was in a really dark place. You pulled me out." Stories like Kevin's reminded Marcus why the work was important. Every life they touched, every person they helped, every policy they changed, it all mattered. 5 years after the incident, Marcus was invited to the White House. The president wanted to honor him with a special recognition for his advocacy work. Marcus brought Colonel Hartley with him. They stood together in the Rose Garden while the president praised their foundation and their commitment to justice. Marcus Williams represents the best of America, the president said. He served his country with courage. He faced injustice with dignity, and he responded to hatred with action and love. His foundation has changed countless lives and helped reform police practices across the nation. We are all better because of his work. After the ceremony, Marcus and Hartley stood on the White House lawn, looking at the building in awe. "Can you believe we're here?" Marcus asked. "I can," Hartley said with a smile. "You've earned this, son. Everything you've accomplished, you've earned." "We've earned it," Marcus corrected. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You stood up for me when no one else would. You changed my life." "You changed mine too," Hartley said quietly. "Before I met you, I thought I was doing enough. I thought my service was complete. But you showed me that there's always more work to do, always more injustice to fight, always more people who need help." They stood in comfortable silence, two friends who had been brought together by tragedy, but had created something beautiful from it. The impact of Marcus's story continued to spread. Police departments that adopted the reforms he advocated for saw dramatic decreases in complaints about officer misconduct. Communities began to trust their police more when they saw accountability and change. Other victims of police abuse reached out to Marcus for advice and support. He helped them navigate the legal system. He connected them with lawyers and advocates. He showed them they were not alone. Marcus also fell in love. He met a woman named Angela at a veterans support group. She was a Navy veteran who had served as a medic. She understood his pain and his mission. They got married 3 years after the incident, with Colonel Hartley as Marcus's best man. Angela joined the foundation and helped expand their mental health services. She brought in therapists who specialized in trauma and PTSD. She created support groups for veterans and their families. Together, Marcus and Angela built a life filled with purpose and meaning. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Marcus told them about their father's service and about the importance of standing up for what is right. "Sometimes the world is unfair," he told his children. "Sometimes people will treat you badly because of how you look or who you are. But you have to keep fighting. You have to keep believing that things can get better. Because they can. I'm proof of that." 10 years after the incident, Marcus received a letter from Officer Sarah Chen. She had left the Riverside Police Department and had become an advocate for police reform herself. She wrote about how guilty she felt for not standing up for Marcus sooner. "I think about that day all the time," she wrote. "I should have stopped it. I should have protected you. Instead, I stood by and did nothing because I was afraid for my career. But watching what you've done since then inspired me to be braver. I left the department and I'm now working with community groups to train officers on implicit bias and accountability. I'm trying to make up for my silence that day. I hope you can forgive me," Marcus wrote back to her. He told her he did forgive her. He told her that her decision to speak the truth during the investigation was important and brave. He invited her to visit the foundation and see the work they were doing. Chen visited a month later. She met with Marcus and Hartley and learned about all the programs they had created. By the end of the day, she was crying. "You took the worst day of your life and turned it into something that helps thousands of people," she said. "That's incredible." "You're incredible. We're all just doing what we can," Marcus replied. "You're part of this change too. Every officer who speaks up, every person who stands against injustice, you're all part of the solution." The foundation continued to grow and evolve. They added programs to help veterans with job training, housing assistance, and education. They partnered with other civil rights organizations to fight discrimination in all its forms. They became a powerful voice for justice and equality. Marcus never forgot where he came from. He still lived modestly despite his success. He still drove his old blue sedan, though he had fixed it up nicely. He still went to the VA hospital for his checkups. And he still remembered that hot summer day when his life changed forever. But now when he thought about that day, he did not just feel pain and shame. He also felt pride. He had taken his trauma and turned it into purpose. He had faced hatred and responded with love. He had been knocked down, but he had stood back up, both literally and figuratively. Officer Derek Patterson served his prison sentence and was released on probation. He never apologized publicly, but Marcus heard through mutual contacts that Patterson's life had fallen apart. He could not find work. His family had distanced themselves from him. He lived with the consequences of his actions every day. Marcus did not feel joy at Patterson's suffering. He felt sadness that one man's hatred and prejudice had caused so much pain for so many people. But he also felt satisfaction that justice had been served. The Bodycam footage that had started everything was now viewed by millions of people. It was taught in schools as an example of civil rights violations. It was shown in diversity training programs at companies across America. It had become a powerful tool for change. And at the center of it all was Marcus Williams, a man who had served his country, lost his leg, faced injustice, and refused to be broken. A man who stood up when it would have been easier to stay down. A man who chose hope over hatred. Years later, when Marcus was asked by a young journalist what he wanted his legacy to be, he thought carefully before answering. I want people to remember that one person can make a difference. I want them to know that speaking up matters even when you're afraid. I want them to understand that justice is possible, but only if we fight for it. And most importantly, I want them to see that our worst moments don't define us. What defines us is what we do after those moments. Do we give up or do we stand up and make the world better? I chose to stand up, and I hope others will too.